The Earth is not merely a planet. It is a stage, a crucible, a laboratory of life so intricate and precise that it almost seems deliberate. Every river carving valleys, every mountain rising toward the sky, every cell dividing in the vast web of life hints at a design that borders on the miraculous. The climate balances with improbable delicacy. The oceans teem with organisms forming ecosystems of unimaginable complexity, and the evolution of consciousness itself unfolds with a rhythm that is both chaotic and astonishingly coherent. And yet, as we survey the planet, a question emerges that borders on the unthinkable. What if all of this, the very story of Earth, were not merely the product of random forces and natural laws, but the result of observation, of intention, of an experiment conducted by entities far beyond our comprehension? To imagine this, we start with what is familiar. Consider the meticulousness of a laboratory experiment, the way scientists calibrate conditions, vary variables, measure outcomes, and observe minute changes over time. On a small scale, this is something we can grasp. A petri dish with bacteria, a climate-controlled chamber with plants, a simulation tracking the growth of cells under differing conditions. Now scale this up unimaginably. Imagine an entire planet with oceans, continents, weather systems, and life forms all interacting in a delicate web of cause and effect, observed perhaps by beings whose perception of time and space exceeds our wildest understanding. The analogy strains under its own weight, yet it provides a glimpse into a possibility so staggering that it forces the mind to pause. If we can experiment on a small scale, could someone somewhere, or some intelligence, be experimenting on a grander scale, using Earth itself as a living, breathing laboratory? If this question ignites the spark of curiosity within you, stay with us, because the paths we are about to explore will stretch the boundaries of both science and imagination, revealing possibilities that challenge the very notion of reality. Our understanding of life, evolution, and the cosmos provides some tantalizing context. Earth is roughly 4.5 billion years old, forming from dust and rock swirling in a young solar system. Life emerged relatively quickly in geological terms, single-celled organisms appearing just hundreds of millions of years after the planet stabilized. Over eons, these simple life forms evolved into complex organisms, from the first multicellular creatures to the astonishing diversity of flora and fauna we see today. Human beings with consciousness, language, and culture have appeared only in the blink of a geological eye. The planet's conditions, temperature, atmospheric composition, water cycles, remain within a narrow range that allows life to flourish. Change these variables slightly, and the web of life could unravel entirely. Scientists like James Lovelock have described Earth as a self-regulating system, the Gaia hypothesis, where life and the environment maintain a delicate balance. Whether this balance is emergent or intentional, the precision is remarkable. And when we consider it from the perspective of a potential experiment, the coincidences multiply. The alignment of the moon, the tilt of the axis, the presence of a magnetic field shielding life from cosmic radiation, all suggest variables carefully tuned for a purpose. Even the vastness of space adds a layer of intrigue. Earth orbits an unremarkable star in a seemingly ordinary galaxy, yet the conditions for life are rare. Planets are abundant in the universe, but worlds with stable climates, liquid water, and protective magnetic fields are exceptional. The Fermi paradox, the contradiction between the likelihood of extraterrestrial civilizations and our lack of contact with them, adds a shadow of mystery. Could it be that we are under observation precisely because we exist in such a rare niche, a natural experiment whose results are being monitored, recorded, or even guided from afar? Some cosmologists speculate about the possibility of advanced civilizations capable of simulating entire universes. If such technology exists, perhaps the experiment of Earth is nested within a larger experiment, layers of observation upon observation, each reality contained within a greater framework. The thought is as humbling as it is exhilarating. Our lives, our histories, our triumphs and tragedies might be data points in a grand investigation far beyond our comprehension. If this notion sparks a flicker of wonder, follow along, because what comes next will challenge every assumption you hold about life, chance, and intelligence. And yet, even as we consider Earth as an experiment, the scale of complexity deepens the mystery. Evolution appears messy, full of trial and error, yet produces astonishingly coherent patterns. The emergence of eyes across multiple species, the development of flight in birds, bats, and insects independently, the intricate symbiosis between species and ecosystems. Could these apparent convergences be natural inevitabilities, or could they be the fingerprints of observation, nudges toward specific outcomes designed to test hypotheses, to explore possibilities, to refine an experiment whose parameters are beyond our control or understanding? Some scientists have argued that life's complexity can be explained purely through natural selection and physics, and yet the improbability of so many critical conditions aligning invites speculation. If the universe is vast enough for intelligent observers to exist elsewhere, might Earth be a special case, a controlled environment whose progress is documented, studied, and analyzed, much like the experiments we conduct in our own laboratories? Every discovery, from the structure of DNA to the interdependence of ecosystems, can be viewed through this lens, producing an almost cinematic sense of wonder and unease. The planet, alive, interconnected, and evolving, may be far more than what it appears. And as we consider the possibility of Earth as an experiment, the scope of that idea expands beyond imagination. Suppose intelligence far exceeds our own, operating on timescales and dimensions we cannot perceive, wielding technology that borders on the divine. For such an intelligence, the universe could be a laboratory, the laws of physics a set of tools, and entire civilizations mere variables to observe. In this light, humanity's history, the rise and fall of empires, the spread of cultures, the cycles of war and peace, becomes more than a story. It is data, patterns of behavior in a system carefully monitored. Perhaps natural disasters, genetic mutations, and even the climate itself are not just products of chance, but deliberate probes, tests of resilience, or mechanisms to explore outcomes. To entertain this notion is to confront a paradox. We are free in our experience, yet possibly bound within parameters defined by forces we cannot see. If this possibility fascinates you, imagine where the next level of inquiry might lead. Subscribe, and together we will trace the edges of this cosmic hypothesis, stepping further into the unknown. The simulation hypothesis, proposed by philosophers and physicists including Nick Bostrom, provides a framework for such speculation. Bostrom posits that if civilizations reach technological maturity, they could run ancestor simulations, detailed reconstructions of their evolutionary past, including conscious beings unaware they are part of a program. If Earth is such a simulation, then everything from the continents to the rise of cities, from the genetics of life to the discovery of mathematics, could be an experiment, a test of parameters designed to explore outcomes. In this scenario, the universe is not a backdrop but a code base, meticulously crafted, constantly updated and observed. Evidence may be subtle. The apparent fine-tuning of fundamental constants, the improbable coincidence of conditions supporting life, the rapid emergence of intelligence capable of reflecting on its own existence. Each discovery, every breakthrough in physics, biology, or technology, becomes both a revelation and a clue, hints that our reality may be structured, manipulated, or at least monitored by forces beyond our comprehension. Now consider the scale. If one advanced intelligence is capable of such experiments, could there be layers upon layers of observers, civilizations nested within civilizations, simulations within simulations, each unaware of its own position in the hierarchy? Perhaps the Earth we perceive is a controlled environment within a larger framework, one of many projects designed to test variables, refine models, or explore scenarios that cannot be replicated in any laboratory. Every mutation, every ecological shift, every human invention could be part of an algorithm or test, with outcomes logged and analyzed in dimensions that transcend our senses. This possibility stretches the mind to its limits. A planet, a solar system, a civilization, existing simultaneously as reality and experiment, as autonomy and observation. It is both exhilarating and unsettling, the sense that our world is alive with intention beyond our understanding, and that our own lives may be more than chance, yet far less than we imagine. Speculation intensifies when we consider the possibility of manipulation at a planetary scale. Could climate shifts, asteroid impacts, or even the formation of continents be guided by unseen hands, adjusted across millennia to observe outcomes, to test adaptability, or to provoke evolutionary leaps? The improbable emergence of humans, with consciousness capable of pondering existence itself, might not be coincidence, but the culmination of careful calibration. Perhaps intelligence elsewhere has optimized the conditions of life not for survival alone, but for observation of ethical, social, and technological development. And if Earth is a laboratory, then every discovery we make, every scientific breakthrough, every philosophical insight, every advancement in understanding, is not only a personal or societal achievement, but potentially an event in a grand observational record, a ripple in a system far larger than the one we can perceive. Some scientists propose that evidence of such experiments might exist in the very structure of reality. The universe exhibits patterns, laws, and constants that appear astonishingly fine-tuned to allow life. Slight variations in gravity, electromagnetism, or nuclear forces would preclude the formation of stars, planets, or chemistry as we know it. While many attribute this fine-tuning to natural selection at a cosmic scale or the anthropic principle, another possibility emerges. If Earth and our universe are part of an experiment, then the precision of these constants might reflect deliberate calibration. It is as if the universe were a controlled environment, a test chamber where variables are adjusted to observe results. Each galaxy, each planet, each emergent civilization could serve as data points, outcomes in a system that is simultaneously vast and exacting, random yet orchestrated. And as we push further, the implications become profoundly philosophical. If Earth is an experiment, then what is the role of consciousness? Are our choices truly free, or are they part of a controlled study of decision-making, ethics, and societal development? Is morality, culture, and the pursuit of knowledge an emergent property of life, or are they observed metrics in a simulation designed to measure the outcomes of intelligence? And yet, even if our existence is under observation, there is beauty and significance in awareness itself. To recognize the possibility of being studied is also to recognize the privilege of reflection, the ability to comprehend complexity, to marvel at existence, and to ask questions that no experimenter may have anticipated. If contemplating these possibilities sparks awe within you, continue with us, because the final paths we explore will challenge not just what Earth is, but what existence itself could mean across scales and realities we cannot fully grasp. And as we venture to the edges of this hypothesis, the possibilities expand into realms that challenge not just science, but imagination itself. Suppose Earth is not merely a laboratory, but a dynamic experiment evolving in real time, influenced by entities or forces whose perception of time is incomprehensible to us. Millennia could pass for humans in what feels like a heartbeat for them. Entire civilizations could rise and fall without leaving a trace beyond the data points in their observation. Perhaps even the very trajectories of stars, the shifting of tectonic plates, or the subtle fluctuations in climate are not entirely random, but orchestrated components of an experiment designed to measure resilience, adaptation, or creativity. In such a scenario, every storm, every volcanic eruption, every evolution of intelligence becomes more than a natural phenomenon. It is a signal, a response, an outcome in a framework that dwarfs our understanding. And if this vision ignites a spark of wonder, consider following the next paths with us by subscribing, because the journey into these cosmic possibilities is far from over. One of the most staggering implications is that such an experiment may not be unique. Perhaps countless planets across the universe, perhaps entire worlds and civilizations, are being observed simultaneously, forming a lattice of living laboratories, each designed to explore variations on themes of life, intelligence, and culture. Each outcome, each divergence might be cataloged, compared, and analyzed, forming an immense data set spanning not just space, but the unfolding of time itself. Could this explain the apparent rarity of intelligent life, the Fermi paradox, and the elusive silence of the cosmos? Perhaps advanced observers choose to remain hidden, monitoring quietly, intervening only when variables reach critical thresholds or outcomes require adjustment. The idea is simultaneously humbling and exhilarating. Our world, our experiences, and even the struggles and triumphs of humanity could be meaningful within a system far larger than comprehension, yet utterly inscrutable from our vantage point. Speculation becomes almost metaphysical when we consider the possibility that the Earth experiment is designed to observe consciousness itself. Human thought, creativity, and morality may be under scrutiny, measured not only by survival or technology, but by how beings perceive themselves, their place in the cosmos, and the choices they make in response to uncertainty and challenge. In this light, every act of curiosity, every pursuit of knowledge, becomes an event of cosmic significance. The scientific breakthroughs we celebrate, the philosophical questions we wrestle with, the stories we tell, may all be part of a grander narrative designed to illuminate the capacities of conscious beings. And perhaps, somewhere beyond comprehension, observers are as captivated by our ingenuity and resilience as we are by the stars themselves. Yet even if this hypothesis is impossible to prove, its contemplation alters perspective. We are confronted with humility, understanding that the scales of time, space, and intelligence may far exceed human perception. At the same time, there is empowerment. Even if Earth is an experiment, the conscious awareness we possess allows us to reflect, to question, to dream. The act of observation, of curiosity, of inquiry, becomes both a personal journey and a dialogue with the cosmos, a testament to the wonder that emerges naturally from existence itself. To dwell in the question is not to surrender to uncertainty, but to participate in the very essence of the universe, aware, alive, and infinitely imaginative. If this resonates, join us in continuing the exploration, because the threads of mystery and possibility stretch beyond any single narrative, and together we can trace them into the unknown. Finally, consider the vastness of what being an experiment might mean. If Earth is a controlled environment, it is also a place of extraordinary richness, where life, thought, and experience are nurtured and tested on scales unimaginable. Each sunrise, each ocean current, each heartbeat becomes part of a story written across eons, unfolding with precision and unpredictability alike. Consciousness itself, your awareness, your reflections, your dreams, is perhaps the most remarkable outcome of all, a phenomenon that may fascinate observers far beyond the stars. And in embracing this possibility, we are reminded that the universe, or perhaps the architect behind it, is not simply a backdrop to existence, but an active participant in the unfolding narrative of life, intelligence, and wonder. So we look outward, not just at the planet, but at the possibilities it represents, at the questions it inspires, and at the marvel that is consciousness itself. Whether or not Earth is truly an experiment, the act of pondering it stretches the mind across scales of time and space, connecting us to the infinite potential of the cosmos. Every choice, every insight, every act of curiosity is part of a larger story, a narrative of exploration, observation, and awe. And in that narrative there is freedom, there is significance, and there is the profound recognition that reality, in all its complexity, is a mystery worth embracing. If the spark of wonder has taken hold, and you wish to follow where these questions unfold next, subscribe and continue with us, because the journey through the infinite, through possibility itself, is only beginning. And perhaps the final revelation is this: the universe may be more deliberate, more intricate, and more astonishing than we ever imagined, yet within that, our capacity to question, to dream, and to wonder is the ultimate experiment, one in which we are both participants and observers, explorers of the boundless and the unknown, standing on a planet that may be as extraordinary in its design as it is in the life it sustains.